Oh joy, I have a PlayStation Vita. Do I love it or do I think it sucks? Well, we're going to find out right now. Stay tuned.
Skip it up and that up.
So what the hell made me get a PlayStation Vita? You guys know I had mixed feelings on it. I tried it out a while back. Well, I saw Killzone Mercenary, and then I saw it got good reviews. So not only was it gorgeous, people were saying it was a fun game. So I was like, you know what? Impulse buy, I'm going to go out and get one. And as soon as you guys found out that I had a Vita, I got a ton of responses saying that you guys wanted a review. So I'm like, all right, kind of a, not old system, but it's going up. It's up there now. It's about 2 years old, or about a year and a half old. So, but whatever. You want a review? Let's do a review. All right. So let's take a look at the system itself first and see what features it has. So you got your two analog nubs here. We'll talk about those in a second. You got your 5-inch OLED screen. It's 960 by 544 pixels, which is 220 pixels per inch. That's the pixel density. It's not obviously going to be like a Samsung Galaxy Note 3 that's 1080p, but with screens these size, who the hell even needs 720? I mean, I think 720p is more than enough. And this screen is, I mean, I'll turn it on right now. We'll talk more about stuff later. The screen on this thing is gorgeous, okay? So, I mean, it's, yeah, like I said, it's not full 1080p, it's not even 720p, but it's still a damn good-looking screen, which unfortunately is going to change because they're coming out with a new model PS Vita, almost called it a PSP, and they're going back to LCD, not OLED anymore. Don't really know why they're doing that, but anyway, you can swipe away the screen there. Let me lower the volume on this, excuse me. So, beyond the screen, what we have here, the analog nubs. Now, let me get into them later. Anyway, so you have your digital pad here, directional pad. You got your the typical PlayStation buttons. You got your triggers up on top here, and on the back you have a capacitive touch pad. Now, I'll talk about that in a minute. Now, a couple other things I forgot to mention with the Vita before is, let me show you the I/O on it. Now, this is where you actually put the game cartridges. Make sure my Vita is off. Don't want to take the game out with it powered on. And they look like this. Small little cartridges. Kind of wish they did this with the PSP instead of the optical based medium that they had for it. The UMDs, couldn't think of it. Anyway, I'll leave it on the side for now. And you put your game cartridges in there. This is a random port that I'm not sure what it's used with. Haven't opened it up yet, I don't think at all. Whatever, that's something that's meant for, I guess, future devices they're thinking of coming out with. And on the bottom here, the Achilles heel, I'm not even going to take it out because it's such a pain in the ass to get back in, is the little itty bitty, actually, no, what the hell, I'll take it out for you. The little itty bitty memory cards. These doors are annoying, that's its shortcoming. These are expensive. They're proprietary memory for the PS Vita, and they're required. So, we'll talk more of that when I give my final verdict, but yeah, you need to have this to download downloadable titles. If you want to download anything off of PSN, you need to have one of the memory cards. Yeah, we'll get more into that later, but anyway, but let's get back, most importantly, to the analog nubs. Now, you know I made a video a while back kind of bashing these, and they're decent. I'll take back some of what I said. I played games like Killzone Mercenary with them. Let me look at the game right now, sorry about that. Resistance, Burning Skies, and they do perform pretty well. I'm pleasantly surprised. One of the complaints I have, though, is I wish they had the click buttons on them like they do on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. There's sometimes when you're playing Killzone Liberation, like for example when you have to run, you got to hit the circle button to run. It's kind of an awkward little setup there. The controls are generally pretty good in that game. You'll see me play a little bit of it later, but they're okay. They're not as bad as I thought. They serve their purpose. They give you more of a console experience, these two analog sticks, on a portable handheld. So I take it back somewhat. Sony, good job. You did a decent job for what you could with such a small handheld. Directional pad is fantastic. One of the best directional pads, D-pads ever. All the buttons on here are really, as you see me clicking through stuff I'm not really wanting to. Turn off the screen. All the buttons on here are really clicky and responsive and well done. The only thing I'm not thrilled with on here is the L and R triggers. They're a little more, they're responsive. They do their purpose. You know, you could hit them on the corners, like no dead zones on them. You can hit them in the corners and you'd have the thing start blinking on me. Anyway, you can hit them in the corners and stuff like that, and they always work no matter where your finger pushes down on them. But it's just, they just don't have that, once again, console feel to the triggers that I wish they had. They're fine, they're not uncomfortable. I just wish they were like a little bit more responsive, is not as mushy. Now, in terms of what's under the hood of this has a quad-core ARM Cortex processor. It has a quad-core GPU in here, which is a Power VR chip. I'm not going to go into too much specifics and put people to sleep. It has 512 megabytes of system memory and 128 megabytes of video RAM. So, again, you know, they sound like minuscule specs. Couldn't think of a better word. Once you can compare it to a newest smartphone out there. But you got to realize this is a dedicated console. And I'm telling you right now, once you see some of the games I'm going to play in this thing, there's no smartphone game out there that can do what this thing do. It's a really powerful, portable system. So now that I give you a tour around it, let's look at some apps on here first. So this is what the interface is like. It's not the most gorgeous interface, but it's really functional, as you're going to see in a second. The touchscreen on here, the multi-touch capacitive touchscreen is fantastic. Really quick, really snappy. You can see that quad-core CPU coming into play. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at the web real quick. Now, the browser on here, I remember I had a PSP for a while, and the browser on the PSP was at best god-awful. This on here is pretty good. The only complaint I have about it is that this doesn't support either Flash, which, okay, I can forgive them for Flash. Neither iOS or Android no longer supports Flash, but HTML5? Really, Sony, this isn't going to support HTML5? So anyway, let's go to see what my history is on here. There is no history. Okay. Let's put in a website real quick. Let's think of one. I think you can actually do YouTube from this, though. Go to YouTube. Touchscreen on here is fine, just like typing on an Android or iOS device. Just wish they had the .com preset button like they do on my cell phone. And there you go. You are in YouTube. Let's play the video. Turn up the volume.
Why does my body do that?
As you see, videos look gorgeous on the screen. I mean, the OLED screen, once again, the colors, I mean, a lot of people complain that the colors are too rich when it comes to OLED, but I really just think that it looks great. It looks fantastic. It's a really good looking screen, and like I said, it's not the highest resolution out there, but you'll be hard pressed to see some pixels on the screen unless you get really up close to it.
Why does my stomach make that grumbling noise?
Your stomach is actually always making digestive.
Let's get out of there. The other thing too about the browser on here, it is pretty responsive. Let's put up another website. Come on. Let's go to, I don't know. Let's think of something here. Let's go to CNN. And it'll put a letter I in the beginning there. Come on, Betsy. Alright, let's go. And I'll show you too. This is really responsive. It's like an almost complete 180 from the browser that was on the PSP. That was just a train wreck, that thing. But as you see, pages load fairly fast. You know, it's a pretty good experience. It's not obviously as good as some of the top-end browsers you're going to have in Android and iOS, but it's pretty damn close. I just wish it supported at least HTML5, which is pretty disappointing because this could have been a very capable browser if it did that. So anyway, we want to get out of there. Now, this is one cool thing I want to note about. If you have multiple applications open, which if you want to close an application, you see how there's a little piece of paper over here? Just swipe it away. Application's closed. Now let's show some other apps in here before we get into the games. Let's do some Netflix. I'll show you how videos look on here. There we go. And let's pop open, what was I watching here? No, don't want to watch that. Go back. Show you how a movies looks on here real quick. Just even playing. I was watching Beavis and Butthead Do America. I'll only show you a little bit so the copyright police don't come after me. Because, you know, God forbid, I'm just simply demonstrating something to you on a 5-inch screen. There, it's loading up. And again, I'll zoom in. Great screen, man, to watch movies on. I've watched a bunch of documentaries on here on Netflix. I've watched a couple Breaking Bad episodes, and it's fantastic. And it's just big enough, the screen, where it makes it enjoyable. And then once again, that OLED screen makes everything look great. All right, now let me get out of here because I'll end up watching the whole movie and stop doing this review. But yeah, Netflix works fine. I'm not going to go into too many more apps. Now, one thing I did try is I tried remote play. I don't have any games, unfortunately, on my PlayStation 3 that are compatible with remote play, but it works okay. It'll be interesting to see what they do with the PlayStation 4, because it kind of seemed like a half-baked idea for the PS3. You can get it. I saw my cross-media bar from the PlayStation 3, and there wasn't too much latency with that. There could have been more with gameplay, but you did see that like the frame rate would stutter. It wasn't as smooth. Like it was running probably around 30 frames per second as opposed to 60, because you know when you're in the cross-media bar, it runs at 60 frames per second. And it was okay. It'll be, like I said, it'll be interesting to see what happens with the PS4. And there you go. Now I have some games. Now we're going to get into some games. As you see, the apps in here run good. Skype runs well. YouTube runs great. Facebook is god-awful. I'm not even going to show it to you. But there you go. I like the interface on here. I mean, the M&M looking or Skittles looking little icons is kind of meh. But yeah, everything runs well. It's a pretty functional device that has a lot more features than just gaming. But let's get into some games now. I've downloaded a couple. The first game I'm going to show you is Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I'm a big fan of this. It's my second favorite Castlevania of all time. I used to go back and forth between this and Super Castlevania 4, but I enjoy Super Castlevania 4 a little bit more. Now, the cool thing I'll show you about when you download PS1 games is you can actually, there's a bunch of features that you can do as it's booting up to make the game look the way you want it to. For example, I wanted Castlevania Symphony of the Night to fill up the whole screen. If you hold down that PlayStation button, you can actually go to your settings, and you could do the controller settings, memory card settings, you go to other settings, screen mode, you could do full screen so it fills up the whole screen, which I recommend because it's a smaller screen. You want to take advantage of all the real estate that you can. And it gives you bilinear filter, disk loading speed. Some games, the reason they have that option, they don't just make the games load quicker. I remember on the PS2 they had a disk loading option where you can make PS1 games load faster, and it would lock up sometimes. So some games you want to load quicker, you could change it. I just leave it on normal. Games don't take forever to load anyway. So there you go. We'll get out of there, go back to it. And here is Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and it looks great on this screen too. And there you go. This is Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Runs fantastic. Looks great on this screen. Even though this is a huge game, it's a great game to have on a portable console because there's a whole bunch of save points. You could play it for like 10 minutes at a pop, and you could actually progress in it. And there you go. This is Castlevania Symphony of the Night. If you get a PS Vita, I strongly recommend this game. And trying to play in this awkward position right now is a pain in the ass, but the controls work well too. The PS Vita controls work great with this. And there you go. Okay, now let me show you what may be my favorite game I keep going back and forth between this and Killzone Mercenary. Rayman Legends. I have this for the PC too, and this version is spot on. It basically is a portable version of the Wii U version. It has all the touch controls of the Wii U version, where you use the multi-touch screen, and it runs exactly like the console counterparts. You're not missing out on anything with this version, and it looks fantastic, it plays amazing. You'll see in a second. Now, if you play this on the consoles, this is going to look very familiar with you, feel familiar to you. As far as I've seen so far, I just got this a couple days ago. I'm not seeing any shortcomings. It plays the same, it looks the same, runs at 60 frames per second. I mean, I understand Rayman's not a very demanding game, but this is the perfect game for on the go, and the fact that they didn't make any sacrifices with it just blows my mind. And once again, with the OLED screen, it just looks fantastic. Controls are spot on, and this is a perfect game for on the go because the levels are fairly short, and you can just pick it up, play it for 10 minutes, and put it down. And there's a ton of content with this game too. Rayman Legends, is amazing for any version, including this one. So if you get this for the PS Vita and you're second guessing and thinking you may miss out on something, as far as I see right now, you ain't missing out on a damn thing, and it runs just as good, it looks just as good as the console versions. I can't recommend this enough. I love this game. Alright, now let's take a look at the mother granddaddy bitch of all first-person shooters on a portable console. This may be the best one ever made for a portable first-person shooter. Alright folks, and here we go. I know me filming this through the screen is not going to do this justice. This is in-game visuals. This is not a pre-rendered cutscene. They actually use the same engine they used from the Killzone console versions, the ones for the PS3. So that's impressive. Obviously they had to make some shortcomings. They're not going to have the full engine on the PS Vita, but the fact they could even use the engine is mind-blowing, and it looks just like it does on the consoles, and you on a small screen like this, shortcomings aside, you can't even tell the damn difference, man. Here's how the melee works. The melees in this are brutal. This is a fantastic game, man. Give me a sniper rifle, really? And the combat is really well done. I actually like the controls. They got rid of that sluggish feel to the controls with Killzone for the Vita, and it handles really, really well. I just wish the analog sticks clicked, because it's kind of awkward, especially when you're used to it on playing on the home consoles. But this game is fantastic. If you do get a Vita, and you have, even if you're a casual first-person shooter player, I cannot recommend this enough. It is the closest you will ever get to a console experience on a handheld. And anyone else who has this game, I'm sure, will say the same thing. So, final verdict time. Should you get a Vita? Well, let's talk about its shortcomings first. The first thing I want to talk about is, yeah, there's cameras on this thing, but they are pointless. They take really crappy video. They're meant more so you could do augmented reality with the Vita. It's take it or leave it. Like I said, I don't think anyone's buying this for the cameras. That's why I didn't really go into too much detail. They suck. They look like they give you the video quality and picture quality of like a 2004 flip phone. Whoopee. 3G on here. You could get 3G. It's through AT&T. It's useless. Please don't do it. You can't game through 3G. The speeds aren't fast enough. I guess if you really need to download a game from the PlayStation Network on the go, maybe if you're really always on the go, that might be a reason, but I have no use for 3G. I turned it off. I don't think I'll ever use it. And last but not least, my biggest gripe with this are the memory cards. They're proprietary, and they are insanely expensive. Let me turn the volume on this. For example, you could get a 32 gigabyte micro SD card. This doesn't take micro SD. It has its own proprietary cards like I showed you before. But a 32 gigabyte micro SD card from Best Buy, goes for $22. If you go on Amazon, you can find it cheaper. That same amount of memory. Keep in mind that their proprietary card is just pretty much the same size as a micro SD. If you want to get 32 gigabytes, because this has no storage built into it whatsoever, if you want to get 32 gigabyte card for the Vita, goes for $100. If you want to be exact, I'll give you to the penny, $99.99 US dollars. And that, it just kind of boggles my mind. I hate when companies do this. I hate when Microsoft with the 360, you had to get their hard drives. I hate with Apple, they refused to use micro USB. They made their own port for the new app, for the iPhone 5 and 5S, and you got to buy their accessories. Now, fine, you know what, Sony, you want to make a little extra money off of it? Okay, make the card, like for the 32 gigabyte one, $60. But $100 for 32 gigabytes. And these games, for example, I have Killzone, okay? On Killzone Mercenary was a download that Tony gave me, okay? That's, I think it's like 4 or 5, maybe even 6 gigabytes. I mean, you saw the game. It's a pretty game. That's a lot of textures and a lot of crap in there. So if you're going to, light up the screen again, if you're going to download your games, you're going to eat through those cards. And you know what, Sony? This is a fantastic system. You want to know what's holding people back? How expensive those cards are, and the fact that they're required. That's one of the key reasons. Now, the games are slowly coming out. There's, as you saw, I played Rayman Legends, was fantastic. Killzone's fantastic. I didn't show footage of this. I think this is a pretty good game. Got mixed reviews. I like it. You know, the games are great. There's some good games coming out. But even at $199, if you want to get, I think the 16 gigabyte card's $50. You're at $249 for a system. So the bottom line is, I know a lot of you guys said you were waiting for my review on this. If you're into portable gaming, do I recommend a Vita? This, I have to say, minus what I just said about the memory cards and how Sony, please, I know you just made them a little bit cheaper, make them even, drop the price even more. It gives you, this is the best portable gaming experience I've ever had. Okay? The games are phenomenal. Rayman Legends plays just like it does in the console version. Killzone Mercenary is the best first-person shooter experience I've ever had on a portable device. Like I just showed the other games, the games are great. It's the most enjoyable experience I've had on a console since the Turbo Express back in 1991 when I was like 9 or 10 years old. So the bottom line is, I do recommend the Vita. It's one of the best portable gaming experiences I've had in over 20 years. But it's not perfect, and they should cut the costs down a little bit, especially on the accessories. Those cards are too much. But I do love this system, and I do still give it a recommendation. I'm really enjoying it. Anyway, folks, this is Rich of Review Tech USA. Make sure to rate, comment, favorite, and subscribe. And as always, thank you for supporting my channel. Have a good one. Hope you enjoyed the review.